Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Throwaway483728. Am I the a-hole for calling my sister a lazy leech after she demanded I babysit her kids every single weekend? So here's the deal. I, 28 female, have a full-time job that requires me to work long hours. Plus, I have my own life and social commitments. My sister, 30 female, has 3 kids, ages 6, 4, and 2, who are adorable, but let's be real, a handful. Ever since she had the 3rd kid, she's concluded that I should step up and be her personal babysitter every weekend so she can have a break and go out with her friends. Now, I love my niece and nephews, but I shouldn't have to sacrifice my entire weekend just because she can't manage her own parenting responsibilities. Last week, after yet another weekend spent babysitting while she was out partying, I finally snapped. I told her that I felt she was like a lazy leech for relying on me to do her parenting for her, and that she needs to find a proper solution rather than just dumping her kids on me. She flipped out and called me selfish and said I clearly don't care about family. I told her she was being entitled and that I have a right to my own time too. Now she's gone and told the whole family I'm the jerk and everyone keeps texting me saying I should help her out more. Am I the a-hole for wanting to have my own life instead of playing second mom to her kids every weekend? No, OP, of course you're not the a-hole, and yes, your sister is acting ridiculously entitled just by thinking that you need to step up to take care of her kids for her so she can party. My first question is, where's the dad in this whole scenario? And if he isn't in the picture, it's still her kids, her responsibility. Sure, she can ask you to babysit maybe every once in a while when you have time and if you want to. But her demanding that you do it because she deserves time off? I'm sorry, but in my opinion, that's not how it works. The fact is that having children will change your life. And parenting is not something you do at your own convenience. I'm sorry. And again, you are absolutely right, OP. Parenting her children is not your responsibility. And her turning this whole thing into a family problem that everybody gets to chime in, don't listen to them. And if they harass you, just tell them what your sister is demanding and then block them. Or even yet, maybe they can start babysitting your sister's children if they are so good at volunteering your time. So again, OP, no, you are definitely not the a-hole. Your sister needs to shut up and step up. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Valuable Job 7956 says, there was a post a while back where another sibling was in a similar situation as you. Her sister was demanding she babysit a lot and her family was pressuring her to just give in and do it because family helps family. So she made a schedule where everyone had a turn because family. Maybe you could do something along those lines and see who steps up to dance and who runs. Alitax says, every single person who tries to shame you has just signed up to babysit. Don't you dare do any more, and if she tries to force you, call the police for child abandonment. Don't answer the door and don't answer her calls. These are not your responsibilities, not the a-hole. And OP responds, yes, I think I'll have to start calling the police for child abandonment, as you suggested, since she just leaves the kids at my door and drives away. And Long Jumping Look 762 says, you're not the a-hole for wanting to have your own time and set boundaries. It's understandable that your sister wants a break, but it's not fair for her to expect you to babysit every weekend without considering your own life and commitments. Helping family out occasionally is one thing, but being expected to take on her responsibilities every weekend is unreasonable. Calling her a lazy leech may have been harsh, but your frustration is valid. It's important for your sister to find other ways to manage her time and care for her kids. Family support is great, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your own well-being and free time. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish, it makes you responsible for your own needs. OP's edit. Dad is a deadbeat alcoholic, as my sister is starting to become, so he is not a viable option for the kids. I don't live with her, I'm also not receiving any payment from her, and it's difficult to reach her while she's away, probably because she's drunk or worse. She leaves the kids in front of my door and drives off, knowing that I'm unable to say no. If she waited for me to open the door for them, I would be able to say no. So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and they gave him some pretty good advice that it seems like she is going to take. Also, the dad definitely is not a viable option, as is apparently the sister herself. That sucks. Still, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. So apparently, my sister went full-on drama queen and has turned our family into a soap opera over this. I guess being called out for her entitlement really struck a nerve. Not only did she tell my parents that I'm a horrible aunt, but now she's trying to get my extended family involved. She's texting cousins and relatives, playing the victim card like it's a championship sport, and saying I'm abandoning my responsibilities. But here's the kicker. She somehow managed to scrape together the cash to hire a babysitter for one night last weekend. Apparently, she's capable of arranging childcare when it's something she wants to do, like going out partying with her friends. Yet, I'm still the bad guy for wanting to live my own life. Honestly, I can't even with this double standard. So now, instead of standing up for myself, I have to defend my right to enjoy my weekends without being guilt-tripped by the family. They seem to think I'm just supposed to fall in line and prioritize her lifestyle over my own. And just to clarify, I completely support a parent's need for a break. I've offered to babysit occasionally, but when it comes a required duty every weekend, nah. I told my sister she needs to find a real solution instead of relying on me as her free childcare service. So to the family members still texting me about how I should help her out more, understand this. I have a life too. I'm not about to sacrifice it because she feels entitled to my time. Well, OP, good for you for calling out your sister, standing up for yourself, and holding your position. And again, and as also many suggested, if your family members keep harassing you over this, they can help her out more, as they suggested. So on that note, here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Throwaway Stonetown. Am I the a-hole for refusing to wake my boyfriend up in the morning, which made him almost lose his job? So I, 25 female, have been with my boyfriend, 25 male, for almost a year, and during our entire relationship, he has struggled with waking up in the morning because of his ADHD. He sleeps through all of his alarms, which usually means he is late for work. Sometimes it's only 10 to 15 minutes, but it can also stretch to 1 hour. His boss likes him and has given him plenty of chances, but yesterday he got his last warning that if he doesn't show up on time, he will lose his job. We have had a couple of discussions or arguments about this over the last year because he believes it's my responsibility as his girlfriend to wake him up, but I don't. Despite me waking up from his alarms and being able to shove him out of bed if need be, I don't think it's my responsibility. He is an adult, has known about his ADHD since he was a child, and should by now have found some method that works. Him making it my responsibility turns me into a caregiver, a mother, instead of a girlfriend. This doesn't mean I refuse to help him whatsoever. I have done plenty of research to find alternative methods, but either it didn't work or he refuses to do it. And I do wake him when his alarm goes off, but he decides to go back to sleep right after. Had he not done that, I would gladly wake him up every single day. And I know this is only my perspective and is most likely not true from his, but when he decides to just go back to sleep, it makes it seem like he doesn't want to try. Not to mention the fact that he is especially grumpy or angry in the mornings and have on several occasions yelled at me for both waking him up and for not waking him up. And I don't want to help if he's just going to get mad, even though I know he doesn't mean it. The problem is, when his boss gave him his last warning yesterday, I felt so much guilt because had I just woken him up and been persistent, he wouldn't be in this situation. So I'm at an impasse. Is it my responsibility? Am I in the wrong for not helping? Or should he, as an adult, be able to do this by himself? Because I kind of feel like the a-hole, but also not. Not, OB, most definitely not the a-hole. As you stated, he is an adult. It's his responsibility. How does everybody else do it? I mean, everybody else who has ADHD and have problems getting up in the morning or whatever, how do they manage not to get fired? Also, could it be that your boyfriend doesn't go to sleep at a proper hour and is just super tired in the morning? But it's not just that. It is that you do wake him up, and when you do, he either falls back asleep, like a child would do who doesn't want to go to school, or he gets angry at you and you just have to take it because he doesn't mean it, but he's grumpy in the mornings. F that. No, he is being a huge a-hole. He needs to take some accountability and figure out something. And most importantly, he needs to apologize to you. So again, OP, not the a-hole. And what do you guys think? What is your opinion? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's check out the community comments. Amstroid says, not the a-hole. As a fellow ADHDer, I've been in the same situation before. He's 25 years and should have built up some routine regarding his sleep patterns and mornings. He cannot refuse alternative methods and then expect you to wake him up. One thing that has helped me waking up on time and with a fresh, clear head is a wake-up light from Philips. On full brightness. Those light up the room slowly, 30 minutes before the alarm goes off, and they trigger the right wakey-wakey hormones. This might or will be a disadvantage for you, but once he has a routine build-up, he can experiment with the brightness. And put the alarm away from your bed so that he has to stand up to disable it. I'm curious, does he ever complain about a cloudy or foggy mind? And OP responds, I don't think he's complained about a foggy mind. Why? Could that affect how he wakes up? We have also considered trying the wake-up light. Maybe that will be what finally works. Less Classic 9021 says, not the a-hole. If he was single, sleeping alone, he'd either found a way or be in the same trouble anyway. Instead of owning his problem, he tried to make it yours and it backfired. And Spinning Knitter says, not the a-hole. It's up to him to find something that works. You've not described a single thing he himself has tried to resolve the problem, other than to make it your responsibility. If he'd tried everything he could think of and was asking you for help afterwards, that would be different. When I struggled to wake up for work, I discovered it was because I was waking up in the dark, so it was easy to snooze the alarm and fall back asleep. My solution was lights that sync with my alarm, and by the time it goes off, the room is fully lit. I know other people who have their alarm clocks on the other side of the room, so they have to get up to turn them off. Or there are apps that monitor your sleep cycle and try to wake you up when you are closest to being awake. At this point, I wouldn't want my boyfriend to lose his job, but at the same time, I wouldn't be nice about waking him up. I'd probably say, find a solution or you won't like mine, and then shove him out of bed or drop water on him to wake him up until relying on me wasn't the easiest, most pleasant option and he found a solution himself. OP's edit. I feel like I should mention more to the reason I don't want to wake him up. It's not like I can't since I'm already awake. But first of all, this affects my day too. I can't go to sleep before him because our bedroom doesn't have a door, small apartment. So if he's watching TV or gaming, it keeps me awake. This means I don't get enough sleep either. So when I have to do uni work during the day, before I have work in the evenings, I zone out and usually fall asleep. Physically, can't keep my eyes open. Which is why I wish I could keep sleeping for an hour or so longer without having to worry if he got up or not. But I also don't want this responsibility because I love him. I want him to be independent, and I know we're in a relationship and we're supposed to depend on each other. And we do. But I don't want him to depend on me to get him to work on time or to keep his economy in check or anything that would turn his life upside down should we break up. So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, that it is her boyfriend's problem and that he should learn to deal with it some way or another, and they suggested a lot of things to do. And also in the edit, OP did hint that the boyfriend was watching TV or playing video games at night, so maybe that has something to do with him being tired in the morning and not being able to wake up. Anyways, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I talked to him yesterday and he has come to the realization himself that it's not my responsibility. He felt that way because he felt like a failure for not being able to do it. So, like a lot of you said, it was easier to blame me. We did agree to try the wake-up light, so hopefully that will work. I am not breaking up with him. I love him and I want to keep helping him. I made this post because I wasn't sure if I should have done more or if the fact that he had taken no personal responsibility to make a change means I did all I could. He is well aware that he is the only one who can make a change. Neither I nor a psychologist can make that change for him. He hasn't until a couple of years ago tried to genuinely take control, so it makes sense that he's still finding methods that work. But I suggested both a psychologist and finding other people with the same diagnosis as him so he has someone to talk to. Hopefully, we'll figure it out together. Of course, I will be there for him, help him find methods and be there if they fail. But making the effort to change is something he has to do himself. I apologize if it seemed like I was trying to make myself a victim, as some of you pointed out. That was not my intention. I never know what type of information is vital, so a lot more came out because of your comments. And me not being good at describing to the degree that is needed means a lot goes unsaid and miscommunication happens. But thank you to everyone who came with advice and methods we can try. I really appreciate it. Well, Opie, in my opinion, this is most definitely a positive update. I mean, the first step he took was accountability, taking responsibility that it was his to take, and that this wasn't your fault. So I'm guessing you guys are on a good path. Hopefully everything works out. Take care, Opie, and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the final story that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Off My Chest, and it's by user Panachi19. Overheard my wife and feeling kinda off. My wife Kelly and I, John, have been together for several years. Last night, she and her best friend forever, Allison, were having some girl time on the patio with a few glasses of wine, a fairly regular occurrence. I went upstairs to watch TV and give them some privacy, like usual. Well, the cable went out and their conversation drifted up through the window. Like an idiot, I listened in while waiting for the TV to come back on. Allison was telling my wife about her new boyfriend and how she doesn't even let him get in the door before she's all over him. My wife chuckles and replies, "Yeah, I was like that with my ex." To which Allison laughs and says, "Yeah, I remember you gushing about it all the time." I kinda tuned out after that. Now, I've heard a bit about the ex. She left him after he got them evicted for the third time and she couldn't take it anymore. He didn't treat her bad, but he refused to grow up and couldn't hold a job. I met her about a year later. What's got me going is she has never been like that with me, the supposed love of her life. We have a great relationship and sex that I know for a fact she loves. The thing is, while she rarely says no, it's always been me that has to initiate, even when we first got together. I never really thought about it before. Now I'm wondering why and don't really know how to bring it up. Well, Opie, it's not an easy conversation to have, but if it truly bothers you this much, then just be honest about how you found out. It's not like you were purposefully spying on them or hiding behind a curtain or something like that. The cable went out and the conversation just came up the window. Then tell her about the bit you heard and see if she has any reaction to it. Maybe she'll be able to start the conversation for you. If not, tell her that you feel weird about that comment. Because in the end of the day, it's either trying to communicate with your spouse about the things that bug you, or you hold it in, pretend it doesn't bother you when it actually does, and it festers and ends up blowing up being a bigger thing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Alex with a YYY says, "That's devil penis. That's all he had to offer. Of course, he was giving it 100%. He had no job." Creamer Editors says, "It's tough to overhear things like that unintentionally. Communication might clear the air and ease your mind." And 3137 Dog says, "What else could a hobosexual offer? I wouldn't stress." Alright, well the community was varied between devil penis, which I had to Google and now I know what it is, communications, and just chill out. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Wow, got a lot of feedback. Some bad, but mostly to talk to her, which is what I was leaning towards. Thanks. So we sat down and I told her what happened, what I heard and how I was feeling. Her mouth dropped and she said, "Is that why you've been moody?" And then she got kinda mad. I'll lay out the rant best I can. First off, don't listen in. You can ask me anything, but Allison's secrets aren't yours to hear. Second, let me tell you a bit more of that time in my life. He was the first person I lived with other than my parents. It was supposed to be us against the world, and we were gonna kill it. Except he couldn't keep his crap together, and that didn't happen. Between the stress of my job and the bills, sex was the only good thing I had, and it wasn't even that great. Yeah, I jumped him when he walked in because if I didn't, he'd go straight to his PlayStation and I'd have nothing. My gushing to Allison was me trying to make myself feel better about the crap show I felt stuck in. She took a breather and went on in a softer tone. I've never felt stuck with you. You've always had your act together and took charge from the day we met. It was such a relief. It's you and me against the world and we are killing it. I'm sorry that I haven't initiated, but you keep me completely satisfied and I thought you liked being the one doing it. You make me feel like no one ever has. I can't believe you doubted that, but let me show you something. Then she took me to the couch and showed me. So I'm pretty damn happy. Hope you'll have a great day. Well, OP, good for you. Communication paid off. Now your relationship is in an even better position. So take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.